I'm Tesla. I'm a 26-year-old in a high cost of living area in Texas. And for all of 2022, I said that I wanted to have more balance in my life and definitely allow myself to have fun and get comfortable spending, usually aiming for about 70 spending, 30% saving. And in February, I have been participating in a low spend or low buy challenge, or if you're familiar with YNAB, they call it the More Money Challenge. Usually people do it in January, but I do things when I feel like it, which is why I'm filming this video 17 days late. You could just listen because, as always, I have very stagnant and boring visuals. Essentially, the goal of this challenge is for me to only spend what my necessities are. So I'll go over what is a necessity for me. But I think we also need to kind of cover like, why am I doing this challenge? So I've definitely made a ton of progress with feeling comfortable spending money, but I don't want to get too comfortable. Right at the end of 2021, I got a significant income bump, and that pushed me to middle class. And in 2022, I saved $23,385 just about, but it still felt like a year where I barely ever said no to myself, and that's a pretty huge shift. So I'm going to give you some background on my money mindset when I was in like my early 20s, and this is going to be kind of chatty, so you can totally skip around to the time cards in the description. So when I graduated college, I had a very low income. The fear of the poverty that I was already experiencing at that time, combined with all the poverty I saw in my own family growing up and their scarcity mindset, however you want to pronounce that word, it just gave me some unhealthy habits. So I lived in some unsavory neighborhoods, to say the least, and that's because rent in bad neighborhoods is cheaper, and I was trying to keep my living expenses low. But that was honestly bad for my mental health, and it put me in actual danger as I had several crimes committed against me while I was living in those low income places. And it wasn't good for my physical health either, because every apartment I lived in came with German roach infestations, which meant I couldn't keep food there. So I also was not eating well or eating enough. And my mantra was always, I can't afford it. I would say that almost every single day. For a couple of years, I never did anything enjoyable unless someone else was willing to foot the bill, which was completely isolating. And who knew being completely isolated is also bad for your mental health? And I used to even use money to punish myself because I felt like I didn't deserve money. So when I worked hourly, if I made a mistake at work, or if I felt like I took too long on a project, or if I didn't do a good enough job on that project, I would put fewer hours on my time card than I actually worked, so I would get paid less than I deserved, because I just wanted to restrict myself even further as a punishment, which is like kind of crazy now that I think about it. So like clearly there was just a lot of guilt and anxiety, and like looking back, kind of intentionally traumatizing myself, and that led to compulsive behavior as well, because there was a period of my life where I was checking my bank account at least 20 times a day. I was worried that I was going to look at my account and find that my money was all gone, so I just constantly had to look at it. And then once, when I first got my own debit card, it wasn't even until after graduating college that I had one. A pending transaction hadn't shown up on my account yet, and I cried my way to the bank, and I was telling the assistant that there was something wrong with my account and I can't see the charge and I must have broken it, and I can't trust my bank account if I can't see every single charge, and I was all stressed out. So yeah, I lived on the bare minimum. Like I was just so afraid to spend money. And even though it was unhealthy, it did help me build up my cash savings pretty rapidly. I had $0 in 2019. And then, by 2021, I had saved nearly $30,000. And that's not to say that I didn't have privileges like along the way, because I definitely did. I had a partner at the time and they made a lot more than me, and we would split the bills based on our income, and they provided all the things like furniture, and they would oftentimes feed me and stuff like that. So that definitely helped. And then whenever there was an emergency, my stepdad was always willing to help out, but it was already so stressful as it was. Like, I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have those leg ups. So, all of that to say, I had a lot of things to unlearn about money. And I found YNAB in late 2021. I decided to use it for a couple of months, see what it was like. And then once I felt comfortable with it, 2022 is when I had started my YouTube channel and decided that I was going to let go and I was just going to like live my life, 70-30. To me, that was living my life because before that, when I was even on stricter income, it was more 50-50. But in 2022, I actually kind of scared myself with how I almost instantly acclimated to spending a lot of money. I think because I was posting it online, I had to be more positive, roll with the punches with more grace, and then exhibit a healthier mindset around spending money. But yeah, so in February, I just didn't want to forget that like self-discipline is a muscle that's worth flexing, every once in a while. So I want to know that I can still say no to myself, but in a healthy sort of non-punishing way because I always did it in such a negative way before. So that's a lot of background that nobody asked for. So far, I've been doing okay. It's day 17. I've had 2 oops days, and 15 good days. I shouldn't say good days because it's not really good or bad to spend money, but just days where I've only spent on my necessities. If you've seen my February budget videos, you already kind of know what my necessities are, but I will just go over them again. I didn't put these in any particular order. I'm just going to say what's on my mind. Okay, so anything regarding transportation is necessary. I usually try not to take tolls anyway, but even though I've prepaid for my tolls, I have still not taken any toll routes in January to put off that expense. Obviously, I'm still paying my house bills, but I do want to try to lower my bills. Not by consuming less because it's winter and my dog and I are very sensitive to the cold. I remember being in my grandpa's shack essentially, and around the holidays, everybody would wear their coats and their blankets, and it would still be freezing inside, and we would all try to squeeze next to one space heater. And yeah, as a stable adult, I have no desire to re experience that discomfort. I'm going to have my AC and heater running as needed. But what I mean by lowering my bills is trying to change up my contract a little. I might look into other electricity providers, or I might call my current provider and see if they can get me a better deal because my electricity bill like more than tripled once I had to renew my plan. And I renewed like right at the height of inflation, so everything just was so high and I couldn't get a good deal. But I think maybe now it might be slightly better. It wouldn't hurt to look. The same goes for my Wi-Fi bill because when my Wi-Fi internet contract expired, it used to be $30 and now I pay $75. And I called and complained to tell them it was way too high, but they said it was inflation and they couldn't help it. And they said, oh, try to call back and renegotiate at another time. So no time like the present and trying to renegotiate. I've already paid my internet bill for February, but if I can get a lower rate, then obviously that will benefit me all the months going forward. And as well erase this one too, since I didn't think to put anything in order before I started talking. So I'm not buying any home items, no toilet paper, soap, Clorox wipes, etc. because I should have everything I need. I don't need to improve my home in any way, no decorations, furniture, nothing superficial. A big thing is no dining out, or any junk food. And what I mean by junk food is no fast food. Groceries obviously are a necessity, and I've been adding extra to my groceries category in hopes of keeping me away from fast food, and it's mostly been working. However, an exception to that is meal kits. So I do have an Every Plate subscription. It's like $8 per serving, which is like either the same or a little less than most fast food meals these days. I still will still get frozen pizzas, frozen meals because they're a huge part of my lifestyle, and I still allow myself a few certain snacks if I need them. But I can't just go to the gas station and get snacks. I have to pre-plan them in my grocery bill. That's because I don't eat breakfast. I skip breakfast and then I just wait until I'm hungry at the office, and then I eat popcorn, microwavable macaroni, It's kind of a running joke in the office that I eat Takis for breakfast because you just hear me crunching on them throughout the day. I don't want to be annoyed and hungry at work, so, things like that and granola bars, that's still on the table. But I am trying to avoid name brands and go the great value route instead. One thing I cannot sneak into groceries is sugary drinks. No Coke, sweet tea, lemonade, Sprite, like anything like that. Also, no alcohol, but that doesn't really affect me because I don't really drink. I don't really like to do it. Part of the reason I'm starving myself out on drinks is trying to get myself to drink more water, which I'm terrible at doing. It's been hard. I'm not a good cook. But at the beginning of the month, I brought in a lot of frozen meals and ramen, and that's been helping me so far to not buy food at the office. It's not enjoyable, honestly. And I'm usually not even filled up by the frozen meals, but I can at least make it until I get home. I did have one dining out oops though. It was the other day. I had a coupon for a free smoothie, so I ordered it, and then it turns out my coupon was expired. So I paid over $6 for a smoothie that I would have never gotten otherwise because I really don't buy smoothies regularly. So yeah, check your coupons before you order is all I will say. I'm not spending any money on my appearance. No Valentine's outfit, no face threading, nothing. That's why I'm not on camera today. I've been told that I was called Mustache Girl behind my back in high school, and I've had multiple random children ask me, like specifically stop and ask me, why are my eyebrows so big? So I can already take the heat. I already know what it's like. I can restrain myself from those purchases once a month. Side note, don't ever work at a school unless you want to get brutally read by like an 8-year-old at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Children are savages. Other personal care things I will buy though if they are toiletries like feminine products, deodorant, but things like skincare, body wash, styling tools, that stuff to me doesn't count and I would not buy that. An exemption is giving for charitable support. So I have been saying no to people who have needed to borrow money from me unless it's for essentials. And it's really hard for me to say no. Okay, it's important for me to feel useful because I have limited time because of my job. I have limited energy because of mental health struggles. I feel like the only resource I have to offer sometimes is money. So I like to make myself useful in that way when I can. But I have been letting everybody know that no, I can't spend anything on you this month. If someone were behind on a bill payment or they needed help with groceries, like if it's for a necessity, then I will make an exception and I will say yes. And I'm not going to count it as lending. I'm just going to give it away. But it's not that often that I pay for people's needs. I more often pay for people's wants. So yeah, but this month been going strong, saying no. Let's see. Okay, so I said no dog toys and no treats. I had to do it. I had to give it to him. I was walking around a neighborhood and I saw a local dog treat business, bakery business. So I got Chip and my mom's dogs some snacks. It wasn't very much. I want to say it was like $8, and I could justify it by saying that Chip's happiness is essential to me, but the truth is, I knew better and I did it anyway, but I don't regret it. He's laying down next to me right now. He's thinking, I didn't regret it either. I loved it. I think it wasn't even a bakery item. It was dried chicken necks or some freeze-dried animal, but he really liked it. This is a weird exemption is a Super Bowl bet. So I wouldn't consider myself a betting person, but my work does like to host pools and things for different sporting events. I allowed myself to put 30 there and I did lose, but it's okay because it's fun to compete and, do a little trash talk amongst your coworkers. But other than that, I have not assigned any money for any fun money or entertainment. Taylor Tomlinson is coming to my city, and I love live comedy, but I'm resisting because she is expensive. T-Mobile has given me 3 months of free Apple TV. I've already binge watched Ted Lasso like twice, and I was kind of surprised by this number. I have 830 books on my TBR list. And I'm a part of 4 2023 reading challenges. So, in 28 days, I should be able to entertain myself just fine. And another thing I did to set myself up for success and not spend on fun money is I always like to go to the movies, and I have a calendar that imports all the movies that come out. So that way I never miss it on my calendar, but I have hidden that calendar so I don't tempt myself. I couldn't tell you what's playing at the theaters right now this month. I don't know, and I'm happy not to know. I did think about doing an exemption for Valentine's Day, like reserving a nice restaurant meal for myself. But if I'm only going to go out to eat once, I know that I would spend like $100 on myself. I would spend so much money on food, and it would defeat the purpose of saving money. So I didn't want to make an exception for that holiday because then I thought about, well, maybe I should just put it off until March. But even if I did that, once it was March, even though I have never celebrated this holiday before, I'd probably become very passionate about Texas Independence Day and Cesar Chavez Day. I'd probably be like, I need to spend money to celebrate the holiday. So it's like, if I want an excuse to spend, I will find it, and I don't need a holiday to throw me off my goals, I guess. I mean, there have been 2 days where I was a little thrown off my goals. And then if you saw my most recent budgeting video, you may know that I had some subscriptions where I signed up for the free trial and then I forgot to cancel like a dummy. But these things happen. I'm not slick. I don't know why I thought I would be slick. Lesson learned. Even though I've slipped up some days, I have not thrown the whole challenge out the window yet. I have just started over fresh the next day, and that's interesting because usually when I go off budget, then I find myself landsliding. Like if I already overspent, I might as well just keep overspending because it's like giving up basically. And I haven't done that this month, and that's good, fighting that urge and that tendency. So even though I'm posting this way late in the month, I think I can continue. So the only reason I would have stopped doing this challenge if I saw myself slipping back into previous over restrictive patterns or having negative, hyper anxious thoughts about my finances or myself. Like, I know that my finances don't reflect myself like morally as a person. But if I start telling myself that I'm stupid and I'm bad with money and being bad with money makes me a bad person and I don't deserve to have anything, then that would be a sign to me that like, okay, you're not ready to try to cut back on everything. I have had a few thoughts, moments like that, but I've been able to like stop them, work through them in a rational way. So I'm still proceeding with caution, but I think in the past year, I definitely grew in the ways that I needed to trust the systems and routines that I built for myself. So part of the reason I did this extra Google sheet, I wanted to buy this sheet. I was heavily inspired by this one, but it's like not a necessity, so I couldn't buy it. So I kind of just made my own, played with different ways that I wanted it to look, and created like these formulas to automatically check off the boxes and do the coloring itself. And I guess if you want a copy of this, let me know. You can have it for free, but probably you should just buy this sheet, and I'll link it below. But doing this helped me see the streaks that I was on, and that helps gamify it and makes it feel like less of an obligation. And it also helps me to keep perspective because it's like, yeah, maybe I had one or two bad days, but I also had a lot of good days. So these are just colored in so I would know what the coloring looks like. I should probably erase those. But anyway, YNAB says that most people who do this save an average of $1,000 per month or an extra $1,000. So far, I have saved $864, and I finished rebuilding my auto fund category. So I think that if I follow through for the most part on this challenge, even if it's not like a 100% success, I want to reward myself. I don't know what the reward should be. I'm kind of leaning towards getting my hair dyed, but that's kind of an expensive thing. I don't know. I'm going to think through it. But like, if you're going to go through a challenge And if you're mostly successful, like, why not reward yourself, you know? But yeah, that's all I've got. I made this list below of things that I didn't buy, but I didn't keep up with it. I keep forgetting to fill it out. I guess if it's something that tempted you, you know, you could be like, look at myself. I didn't get tempted, but most of the time it's food. That's always my temptation. I want food and sugary drinks. I'm a simple person. But anyway, let me know in the comments if you've tried any low spend challenges and how it went for you, and if you have any advice. But otherwise, I will talk to you later. Bye.